Hello and welcome to Verbal to Visual. Today I want to share a tutorial around a software tool called OBS that will allow you to do some pretty cool things with your sketchnoting. So what I want to share with you today is how to create the exact thing that you're seeing me do right now. Have yourself in the corner of the screen. Have your sketch notes from whatever app you might be using on whatever tablet you use for use potentially in Zoom calls. If you don't want to have to go through that process of like screen sharing your iPad, connecting via AirPlay or Cord, which is always quite annoying. And then you can always, to have this just be your video, you always have yourself on camera, maybe in the corner, maybe if you would like, you could make yourself big and say hello at the beginning of a call. And then as the conversation goes, you go small, do your sketchnoting. You've got some cool options to kind of have this be the way in which you participate in online conversations. Or another thing that OBS can do is simply record videos. If you're teaching something you know and you want to make sketched videos about it, this is another tool that will allow you to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do here is share the physical setup, the specific things in front of and around me that I'm using here. And then after I do a quick sketch of that physical setup, I will select, move, show you the software setup. I will move over to a screen share of OBS and show you how to set all these things up. That's the plan for today. If this sounds interesting, stick around. Let's start with the physical setup. I'm going to draw for you what's in front of me right now. I've got my laptop up. I'm using a stand so that the webcam is just a little bit higher than it would be otherwise. Just kind of makes for good angles. And as you might imagine, I've got my webcam in use. That's what I'm looking at right now. So that's one camera source. Important piece to point out here is, let's do this. Here's your webcam. This can be what you use for sharing your face. In front of me, I've got my iPad here. Let's see, I'll put the pen over on this side so that I can draw the cord coming in over here. This is an iPad. I am using an app called Concepts, which is my go-to app for digital sketchnoting. And I've got it tethered to my computer with that USB cord. That's how you're seeing my screen right now. So I then am right here. I've got those two things in front of me, easily accessible. Out here drawing, talking. But then behind me, I've got a green screen. So this green screen is optional. I'll show you a few ways that you can get yourself in the corner in a way that's kind of not obtrusive. If you happen to have a green screen, that's kind of a fun way to, have yourself be in this like matrix practice mode space of like white nothingness. It's kind of fun. And it also, it covers the least amount of your sketch note as possible, which is kind of cool. But I'll also show you how to do like a little circle crop just around your face, or even if it's just a little rectangular video that's scaled down. That's what I will show you when we get to the software setup. The other piece I have that is not required, I've got a microphone set up just off to the side here with a little clamp, so it's kind of in a pretty good position, but also out of the way. I'll share links to the specific, it's a Rode microphone. not too expensive, if I remember correctly, to get somewhat decent audio. And that's it. That's it with the physical setup. Other things that you could do instead of using a tablet to connect to your computer, you could use some sort of a document camera if you have one of those. That's another option where, this is something that I remember first seeing in the classroom setting. If teachers wanted to share an overhead but project it to the whole class, they'd have this, and here you're making notes on something. That's one way to keep it analog and still be able to share some sketches. What I dislike about the document camera approach, if you're using it for Zoom calls, is that it's harder to get a crisp and clear image that way. When you're connecting with a screen using whatever app you're using, even if like the resolution or the connection speed isn't great, if it seems a little fuzzy, like this digital image will come through a lot better than a camera of a live video feed of your sketch. So I experimented with kind of a document camera for a while, even with my kind of fancy mirrorless camera. Tried to use those during online chats through Zoom, and it just never quite looked good enough. The quality was fuzzy enough that I have leaned toward this digital setup here, which has been fun because then you get to play around with some of the digital tools like moving things around and easily selecting different colors and things like that, which I imagine I'll be chatting about more on this channel here, because I'm also working on revamping. It's been a slow process. The course, digital sketchnoting, been working on that behind the scenes for a long time now, and I'm getting ready to kind of release some new lessons here before too long, and kind of want to share some tutorials here on the YouTube channel. So if you've got questions about digital sketchnoting in general, throw those in a comment below, and I will try to address those as I also kind of ramp up the pace of publishing videos on the YouTube channel. Another goal of mine. That's it for the physical setup. If you have questions about the physical setup, do share those as well. Let's move next to the software setup, part 2 of our video today. I'm going to switch things over to a different style of screen share and show you how to get things set up in OBS. All right, here we are now in OBS. So this here is showing what I'm selecting between. On the left here are scenes that I've already created, but we're going to create that from scratch. So when you hop into OBS, here's what you want to do. You want to create a new scene. You won't have any of these over here. So let's enter the name of the new scene. I'm going to call it OBS tutorial. It's going to be blank here. At some point, I can't remember when the dimensions come in, but let's just let's start by picking a source. So this is where you can bring in different sources, different video sources, different image sources, even like a website, all sorts of different things here. I always have to remind myself of the specific thing that I want between a media source, a display capture, a window capture, a video capture device. I think this is where I want an iPad to be. So I'm going to create new, even though I have some existing ones, iPad. I'm just going to add tutorial to all of the selections here. So here's where I select a device. And since my iPad is connected to my computer, that's one of my options here. I'm going to choose that as a video source. I'm going to choose 1920 by 1080. That's the size / dimensions of a YouTube channel here, which is what I have set up my frame to be. And let me do a quick look of. So if I go up into OBS preferences, I believe this is where I have chosen my video. Yeah, this is where I've chosen this particular aspect ratio because this is the standard for a YouTube video, which works for a Zoom call as well. So that determines your kind of the size of the frame that you see right here. But let's finish setting this up here because right now it's been scaled by default to, show the whole iPad screen, which if you want to do that, you can. But what I enjoy doing is at least kind of increasing the scale of this so that it spans all the way across. And depending on what you're doing, you can choose whether or not go a little bigger, shift it over here. You can choose whether you want the tools, like the tool selection, to be shown or not. If I'm teaching sketchnoting or in the future videos that I have in mind about using concepts, I will go with a frame something like this where you can see me selecting different options here. You can see me going to the layers over here. But if you're just using this as a canvas to share some ideas, this is where it gets tricky when you're kind of zooming in this amount. If you want all those things out of the way, something like this is kind of, I feel like, the frame that I had set up at the beginning of this video. So let's stick with that for now. We've got our sketch canvas up here. You can, this is where you get to do this with whatever your tablet of choices, whatever your app of choices. This is not specific. Nothing about this is specific to concepts. The computer is literally just pulling in whatever I have shown on my iPad. So that's what makes this setup kind of cool. Let's next bring in the talking head. I don't want a new scene. I want a new source within this scene. And it's a new video capture device. I will call it webcam tutorial. And for the device, I will select my FaceTime camera. Hey, look at that green screen. So you can see that is what I have behind me. I'll go ahead and go kind of full resolution here just to keep that kind of as high quality as possible. Now is when we need to get rid of all that green. So if you select your webcam, and I'm going to right click. Actually, maybe I can just double click. No, that would change that. So if you right click and go to properties, is it properties or filters? It's probably going to be filters. It's going to be an effects filter. So I want to add a chroma key. So chroma key is how you kind of filter out a specific color from your video. So I'm going to go with this. Sure. And then color type green. There we go. I think it looks good. I think that's literally all I had to do. It looks like the automatic settings, the default settings are working for me because now you can only see me. You see the full sketch note behind me. Now it's just a matter of kind of making sure your webcam is selected and doing some scaling here. Scale this guy down as small as you want. Put yourself over in a corner, and there you go. You've got your setup. You've got yourself in a corner. You've got your sketch. Now you could be ready to hit that start virtual camera button. Again, that's what will allow you to choose the OBS virtual camera as an option when you're logging into your Zoom meeting. Or if you just wanted to use this frame to record a video, there's one more thing you got to do because we don't have audio set up yet. So we need one more source. Let's get an audio input capture. Rode tutorial. The device we want is my Rode NT USB microphone. Okay. there you go. You can see the levels. This is where you can adjust. Like it seems like it's maxing out at the yellow and not at the red. Might be doing that automatically. I'm honestly not sure. There is one filter I will show you for the microphone that you might consider depending on how much background noise you have. Now, if you're just using, I'll mention this too. The reason when I was first recording that for this frame, the microphone was off initially is because when I'm using this to present to Zoom, I'm logging into Zoom. I have this virtual camera going. Since Zoom, you select your video source different from your audio source, I knew that I didn't have to have this toggled on within OBS because I had just done a Zoom call earlier today. So if you're logging into Zoom, you don't necessarily even need to add this audio source. You can just have the video and that'll be your virtual camera. And then within Zoom, just make sure to select whatever microphone you want to have that audio going there. But if you are recording a video, making a video that maybe you want to upload to YouTube or somewhere else, that's what the start recording button will do. I think I might have a little bit of a video filter for my webcam. Let me check. Yeah, I did the tiniest bit of color correction. I don't really even remember. Maybe just a little bit of a hue shift from 0, kind of like red face, pull it down a little bit if you're shooting for whatever to you feels like your natural skin tone, or a little bit about how you want to look on camera, I suppose. So that's another correction that you could add to any video source. So if we were to do that one here, might as well, just to show it. That was a little bit of color correction, a little bit of a hue shift down to there or so. We got that. And then if you're recording your audio, if you're making a video and you want to include your microphone set up here within OBS, there is a filter you might use. I think the one that I've used is just a real simple noise suppression. If you want to cancel out any background noise, that's what that filter does. So, and again, this is where Zoom will automatically do that. So you don't really have to worry about that if you're using Zoom. They do a good job of that. But if you're just using OBS to record videos, you might want to add that filter to your microphone. I believe that does it for my setup. I will show you, you've kind of already seen, like, if you don't have a green screen behind you, you just will have your background there, and it can be just a rectangle in the corner. That's fine too. Okay, I will show you one other way to tidy up your webcam of your face if you don't have a green screen. So let me get rid of a chroma key. So we start back from here. And you can see, if it's a rectangle, you might even want to go down like this, get a sense for like how much of the sketchnote you're leaving available or not. But let's say instead of a full rectangle, we wanted it to be kind of just like a circle instead. There's a way to do that as well. Let me bring this back up. We're going to do a filter. Let me see if I remember which one to use. Image mask. So this is another way of kind of filtering out a particular color, but in this case you use an image which you just will want to search for. Okay. You want to search for an image of a circle. Basically a white circle with a black border around it. That will do. So yeah, this is literally an image. If it didn't show up for you, I will kind of share a link to this image because I think I just did a Google search for it. It's a white circle with a little bit of a black background, and it automatically looks like it automatically filtered out the black, and only shows what is white. So there's your image mask. There's me in a circle, and you can have something like that in a corner. Just to kind of clean it up a little bit and have something a little less distracting. So that's how that could look. I will remove that one, go back to my chroma key, readjust to more or less what the original size was, and maybe have that be the wrap up for this little tutorial. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions about the things that I did here, drop them in a comment below. If I'm able, I will answer them. But you have now seen about the full extent of my knowledge of OBS. But there are plenty of tutorials online if you want to do something a little bit different than what I did. Tap it into Google or into the YouTube search bar, and chances are you will find a tutorial about it. Shout out to Maria within Verbal to Visual for suggesting this specific tutorial because I used this setup during our weekly workshop within Verbal to Visual a couple of hours ago. I think this is only the second time I've used this for that workshop. I plan to keep doing it. And that's one of the two kind of settings in which I use this. You've probably seen for most of the videos that I share here on the YouTube channel, I love pen and paper. So I've been using my mirrorless camera above to record the sketch notes, a different camera behind my computer right now to record my face with the green screen. And I do, for those YouTube videos, I do a similar thing as what I showed here, but I just do that within Premiere Pro, the video editing software I use. But it's really similar to kind of what I just showed here within OBS. So yeah, that's my format for YouTube videos. This is my format for workshops through Zoom within Verbal to Visual. And then also with a new project, a new YouTube channel with my friend Eric. Learn in Public with Doug and Eric is the name of that new YouTube channel. I've been using that to capture our conversations as we support each other on each of our journeys as online creators and online business builders. So if you want to see some live sketchnoting of a conversation using this format, go check out that YouTube video. And hopefully you enjoy the things that Eric and I talk about, and hopefully the live sketchnoting that I do is a helpful complement to those conversations. And if you want a deeper dive into all things sketchnoting, do go check out Verbal to Visual. Consider joining our course and community platform where single membership gets you access to everything. All of our complete at your own pace online courses, the weekly live workshops that we do, and a pretty cool environment where folks from all over the globe are sharing their sketchnoting work that you can learn from, that you can get feedback from. In a place like what Maria did today, you can request future tutorials that I might make a YouTube video about. So do go check all of that out, verbaltovisual.com. I'll link that down below. And I think that is where I will wrap this up. Hope it was useful. See you again soon.